the Fiesta Bowl. Number 3, Texas Christian versus number 2, Michigan. And Michigan is a 7.5-point favorite in this game. So let's start with some keys to the game, right? For Texas Christian. What do they have to do to beat the team nobody's been able to beat so far this season? Number 1, sprinkle some max on it, man. Lean with it, rock with it. Let the ginger do what the ginger does. He's your talisman. He is the magic man. As a matter of fact, remember having the conversation with producer Tyler against Kansas State. Why don't you put the ball in that dude's hands? He's the dude. He is what stirs the drink. Give him an opportunity to show everybody why he was a Heisman finalist. Give yourself an opportunity to win this football game. Okay. Number 2 for me on this list here is you got to post Michigan up. Okay. I know that the cornerbacks showed that they can play against Ohio State, but you got to let Q and Savion get you easy buckets, which is why I say you got to post Michigan up. Quentin Johnston and Savion Williams are underrated as 2 outstanding wide receivers. And that whole core is one of my favorites, Darius Davis and Tay Barber. 2 short, fast dudes that can also get it in. A jump ball is a ball that Quentin Johnston and Savion Williams can go win. So give that chance to them. Throw it up. Let those guys go win you a football game. In between there, if Garrett Riley can succeed in sucking Michigan safeties up and then somehow find a way to get Kendre Miller into daylight along with Amari DiMarcado, you have an opportunity to do something really outstanding here, right? And then number 3 for me, last thing you got to do if you're Texas Christian, do it again. Defend, defend, defend. Whatever it is, Joe Gillespie and that TCU defense was drinking or eating before they went on the 40 acres and absolutely held Texas to nothing, nada offensively, held the Doak Walker Award, Bijan Robinson, to 29 rush yards. You got to find a way to do that again, because the knock on the kind of defense that Coach Gillespie runs is that a 3-3-5 cannot match up with a power run team like Michigan's. We have 5 men on the line of scrimmage. Y'all have 3. Tell us what you're going to do to try to stop us running down your throats, because that's what they've been able to do to everybody else. Perhaps it's, hey, man, you find different ways to shoot the gaps. You bring 4 and 5. You rush blitz as much as you can. And then you got to take your chances on the outside, which brings me to, what does Michigan have to do to beat Texas Christian in this game? Very simple. Number 1, if you want to win, put Donovan in. He about to spin. That dude is the hottest player in college football. And I don't know why we haven't said this louder, but his last 2 games, he rushed for 216 yards against Ohio State. He rushed for 185 yards against Purdue. Against AP-ranked opponents, he's averaging 10.2 yards per carry. And he's carried the rock 38 times against AP-ranked opponents. That's the dude, okay? He can run on you because that offensive line is so good. Which brings me to number 2 on this, right? Give Sonny Dykes what he wants. Let JJ eat his lunch. So Sonny Dykes goes on flagship show, Fox Sports, the Herd, Colin Cowherd, and he says, hey, the way we got to win this football game is we got to make the quarterback beat us. And I said, uh-oh. Uh-oh, Sonny. Okay, so that's one thing to say, right? I would even say that's a good way to go at the start of the season. But JJ showed against Ohio State that, yeah, you can get it served up from him too. Because if you want to say that JJ McCarthy has to be the person to beat you, JJ and that offense are going, sure, all right. You see what Cornelius Johnson was able to do, right? You see what Ronnie Bell was able to do? You see JJ's able to throw that football down the field? He ain't got to beat you but 2 or 3 times to gap you. And that's what you're looking for from JJ McCarthy. Let him gap you, right? So if JJ hits a couple explosive touchdown passes, you get to go back to running the football and make Texas Christian chase you. Give him what he wants, right? And then the number 3 thing for me is bring 5 or more, and you're probably going to put TCU's quarterback on the floor. You remember that TCU Texas game I was just talking about? It's also a game in which Texas Christian gave up 5 sacks to Texas, okay? It's not a good look, man. It's almost as if Max Duggan's a sitting duck back there, because there's a great offensive lineman over there in Steve Avila, but he ain't all 5 of those, right? So if you bring 5 or more, chances are you're going to get to Max Duggan, or you're going to force him to make a mistake that you can capitalize on and then go get a football. And in 75 or more, yeah, okay. Maybe you get beat over the top, but I doubt it, right? Not as much as you be able to hold the ball. And that's what Michigan's going to do well. They're going to stop TCU from getting so many possessions because the clock's just going to keep ticking because they're going to run the football. That's what they want to do. So what's at stake for Texas Christian in this game? To which I say, dear TCU, I read about a team like you once. I said I read about it because it was before my time. It was before yours too. That's how long ago it was. This team full of college kids like you had the audacity to skate onto the same ice as a bunch of pros, suiting up for what was once called the Soviet Union's men's hockey team. What was off about these college kids, though, is they believed they could win. I mean, it was 1980, miracles and whatnot. These were, though, the Winter Games. And these were the kind of competitions that Soviet men's hockey team hadn't really lost. Matter of fact, they'd won the last 5 Olympic gold medals out of 6. But this group of college kids, they represented the United States men's hockey team. And they had a coach who liked to speak in riddles, like your coach's old man, Spike Dykes. But this coach for the men's hockey team in the United States pushed them. He skated them until he was sure they understood the challenge they faced, and the name they carried on their chest was more meaningful than the name they carried on their back. He'd yell at them as they were skating until they couldn't breathe. The legs feed the wolf. Like a litany, like a prayer. The legs feed the wolf. There's a Russian proverb that says, a wolf is fed by his legs. Did you know a wolf pack will hunt its prey for over 100 miles if that's what it takes to eat? Legs feed the wolf. The U.S. men's hockey team, they beat the Soviets. They took home the gold, Lake Placid. Legs feed the wolf. So my question to you, TCU, is what feeds you? 100 miles and running. Okay? 100 miles and running. So what's at stake for Michigan in the Fiesta Bowl? Which I say, dear Michigan, what's changed? You are not the underdog. You are no longer a nice story. Perhaps that was your story. Perhaps you still remember I didn't rank you in my preseason top 25. I didn't think you were that good. Perhaps that's what you run on, though. Spite. Works for a lot of people. Keeps me charged up, respecting the process, tiptoeing the boundary between confidence to win and the kind of arrogance that can get you beat. But you still ain't won it. You know what I'm talking about. It's been 25 years since anybody wearing maize and blue even played for a national title. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you forget? Last time you beat Ohio State, you lost this game. So I'll ask it again. What's changed? The face on your bulletin board. RJ Young. I'll take my answer on the field. So now we get to the prediction part of this, and I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, I picked Michigan. I picked them for the same reason I picked Georgia. They have more opportunities to make mistakes and still win the football game. TCU, like Ohio State, has to play a near flawless football game to win. The Wolverines are also built to mash, and no one has succeeded in stopping that offensive line from moving men against their will so far this season. And I don't expect that to change on Saturday afternoon. But I'll ask again, what feeds you and what's changed? Thank you for watching the #1 college football show. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and like this video so that you don't miss any of the best college football coverage in America.